Sue, would you tell us a bit about Evergreen Life Services, and also, if you wouldn't mind, paint a picture of your background in nonprofit leadership before you took the helm at Evergreen?
Okay, well, I've been in the not-for-profit business for most of my life. Quite frankly, I've served at the American Red Cross nationally, worked with the Red Cross at a chapter level and at a regional level, and then ended my 14-year career with the Red Cross as national manager of HIV/AIDS education in Washington. Went from Red Cross to a national organization that was Clean Water Action, which was also based in Washington, D.C., and learned a lot about the environment and political action committees, and then went from there to become a CEO in Orlando, Florida, at an agency called Seniors First that provided services to seniors, the elderly, in Orange County, Florida. And after being there for 8 years, went to the largest domestic violence center in the state of Florida and served as the CEO. From there, after 4 years, became the CEO. I was recruited, actually, of a not-for-profit in St. Petersburg, Florida, that provided supports and services to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It was from Park that I was recruited to apply for the position I'm now in at Evergreen, and I'm the CEO of a national organization that provides supports and services to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities on a national level. We have at Evergreen 2,400 employees and operate under a $90 million budget. We are located in 7 states. We're in Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. We are nationally headquartered in Houghton, Louisiana, and the first Evergreen program was founded, we were founded by 3 Presbyterian churches, but that first program was in Northwest Louisiana. So it's where we started. We have a rich history, over 50 years of supporting individuals, and today we specialize in working with states, partnering with state government, and closing down state institutions and state centers and transitioning people with intellectual and developmental disabilities into homes in the community so they have a higher quality of life and can choose the way they want to live and live like you and I do in the communities.
Well, you've had what could only be called a stellar nonprofit career, Sue. Let's turn to social enterprise. You are well known in what's often called the social enterprise movement. Would you tell us exactly what a social enterprise is and how you got involved in the movement? What brought you to social enterprise?
I will. I actually will start with what I'm doing today and a little bit about why social enterprise is so important, and then touch on how over 15 years ago I became aware of this movement and frankly immersed myself into it, and today I'm known as a serial social entrepreneur. Evergreen has a $90 million operating budget. Over 90% of our revenues, of approximately $90 million a year, are tax-based dollars. It's mostly Medicaid. Our board of directors, and Evergreen has a 32-member board. of our parent organization, Evergreen Life Services, we have a stellar board. It's currently chaired by Jim Ellis. He's an attorney in Baton Rouge. And our board leadership recognized that Evergreen needed to diversify its funding base. And there's only so much charitable money available in the community. You can't expect to increase your charitable gifts and hold events and raise enough money to bring down that tax-based percentage or that dependency on those tax-based dollars. Those tax-based dollars continue to drop, and our board leadership said, we're going to determine ways to bring in additional revenues to not only diversify that funding base, but to thrive, to add to our programs, to continue building, to serve more people. And thus, about 4 years ago, the venture to begin entrepreneurial endeavors that would generate revenues that are unrestricted, what many term as earned income, that we could use to not only support our current services and programs, but to grow and thrive.
Now, is earned income what distinguishes a social enterprise from mainstream nonprofit corporate work? Is that the definition of social enterprise, that it earns income?
It's basically an entrepreneurial endeavor that serves a purpose. It does good, a social good in the community, but the entrepreneurial aspect, the enterprise aspect, is that it generates revenue that comes back into this endeavor that furthers the support to the community.
So in a sense, it generates working capital for the nonprofit.
Exactly, while doing a social good. There are for-profits that are doing social enterprise. It's not limited to not-for-profits, but not-for-profits need that unrestricted revenue. And a good example of social enterprise is a not-for-profit selling books like the American Red Cross, a not-for-profit selling services, charging for training courses, developing a product that they can sell, which we have done, and I'll talk about that with HEAVENDROPt. I can tell you how I got into this whole movement and why I'm passionate about it and believe in it so much. About 15 years ago, when I was the CEO of Seniors First in Orlando, doing Meals on Wheels and the programs for the elderly, we were living paycheck to paycheck. It was very difficult with the almost 100% dependency on Older American Act and other tax-based dollars. And the Edith Bush Charitable Foundation, the president of that foundation was then and is still a man who I respect so much, David Odahowski. And David Odahowski, as president of that Edith Bush Charitable Foundation, worked with the National Center for Social Entrepreneurs, which was in Minnesota, and he, through the Edith Bush Charitable Foundation, offered a competitive grant process to not-for-profits to submit proposals to be selected to receive a 15-month consultation in social enterprise with that national center. So our little agency applied, we won, and I went through with my senior staff team and our board members, leadership board members, again, 15 years ago, that 15-month process. And it was, I call it career-altering for me, because the things, I can't think of a better word, that I learned in looking at a mission money matrix, looking at programs that were replicated and offered by other agencies that were, we were losing money, looking at collaboration, just all of the learning process we put into place, and it had such significant impact on reducing our expenses, increasing our efficiencies, and generating unrestricted dollars that I was sold. And then when I went to be the CEO of the Domestic Violence Center, I brought the same principles. We put them into practice, had success, went to the next agency. So I'm a believer because I've seen the proven results and impact on the not-for-profit. And
well, I know you've launched some really significant social enterprises at Evergreen. Would you describe what's going on in that regard?
I will. I came to Evergreen about 4 years ago. The board, the members of the board are just great leaders. It may be, I've worked with many good boards and lots of excellent board members, but the Evergreen board, the individual members and the board as a whole may be, for me, the best board that I've worked with. And the partnership with me and our high-impact governing model is so effective. This board did an aggressive board-led strategic planning process about 4 years ago. One of the goals that they put in that plan, and we now have a new plan, we have another goal in there that is very similar, is to research social enterprise opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities that can provide meaningful work and day program experiences for the people that we're serving, over 1,000 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and that could help reduce that tax-based dollar dependency.
Now, you're talking about a fairly, I think you said over 30-member board, fairly large board, is that right?
We can have up to 32 members. We have 31 members right now actively serving on the parent board. We do have 3 corporations, but that's the parent board. And they come from all over the United States. And Jim Ellis has been our chair the last 2 years. Our incoming chair is Dr. Claire Brooks, who actually begins November 1st as our new board chair for hopefully 2 years. With the board supporting me, supporting our staff, advocating for us to do this research and to look at opportunities for our clients that are entrepreneurial in nature and that can generate earned income, we have taken it seriously, and we've developed a number of enterprises. There were a couple that we were already doing. We had a couple of thrift stores in operation, and one is more like an antique store, almost a mall, and it's very successful in our Minden, Louisiana area. In the last 4 years, though, we've opened art centers, production centers. We sell all kinds of artwork, glass work. We have kilns, pottery kilns, jewelry, and this is happening all across our 7 states. Our most exciting endeavor, though, is our HEAVENDROPt program. So can I talk a little bit about what that is, Doug?
Please, fascinating name.
Okay. Well, we had an idea, and I won't go into all the details and background about this, but we learned that our federal government was spending over $20 million a year destroying retired parachutes that have been used by our military heroes. We now acquire those parachutes. They are demilitarized before we receive them, so they can't be used as parachutes. And we have a business, a huge social enterprise where an entire line of products are made from that parachute material. They're made by people with disabilities, not just by Evergreen clients that have developmental and intellectual disabilities, but we are contracting with other not-for-profits that support our wounded warriors, people with any type of disability, and they are being hired, in many cases paid more than minimum wage, and they produce 100% of the products in our product line. When we sell the items, 100% of the profit goes back to not just Evergreen, but not-for-profits that support people with disabilities. So it's job creation, it's recycling, and it's support to charitable organizations all over the United States. We have contracts with other charitable organizations, for instance, a Center for Independent Living in Conway, Arkansas, with the Louise Graham Regeneration Center in Florida. We're working with a Goodwill in Denver, and we need lots. We need to hire lots of workers to make this work. We've opened a HEAVENDROPt office in St. Petersburg, Florida. All of our finished inventory is held there. And our product line includes necklaces made out of parachute material. They're gorgeous. Cause bracelets, survivor bracelets, pet bandanas. And just this past week, we finalized agreements, and we're making superhero capes for boys and girls. They're HEAVENDROPt heroes, and the Children's Hospital in New Orleans is collaborating with us, and they actually will receive some proceeds from the sales of those capes. And we just developed a lanyard line, 3 different styles of lanyards at 3 different costs that we hope every conference that's held in the United States is going to buy our lanyards made out of parachute cord and parachute material. And we have an agreement with United Way of Southeast Louisiana. It's not signed yet, but we're at final negotiations, and they're going to also benefit from the sale of lanyards in the geographic area that they serve. Well, so that's HEAVENDROPt.
So Evergreen has actually made a very significant investment in social enterprises. Maybe in closing, you could tell us what the return on that investment has been. Just to summarize, what's been the payoff for Evergreen?
I can't give you a dollar figure right now because I don't have that in front of me, but I can give you a different type of payoff, which has been amazing. Marketing is number one. We have a separate HEAVENDROPt website. We get sales from all over the United States. We're exhibiting in conferences and exhibits all over the United States. We have a volunteer cadre that is helping sell the products, and everyone across the United States is learning about HEAVENDROPt, which therefore they learn about Evergreen and the work we're doing, and we're getting calls from state governments that are interested in Evergreen services because they've learned what we've done in other states with closing down the institutions. The other benefit, about a year ago, well, last year, we were invited to the Emmy Awards, and the HEAVENDROPt necklaces were included in the swag bags given to all the movie stars, and we were given permission. We have all the pictures with all these famous stars wearing our products, and now we have support and more name recognition we were the only not-for-profit included in those swag bags.
Fantastic.
So recognition, marketing, collaborations, partnerships, and we're generating earned income.
Let me ask you this, Sue. If a nonprofit is interested in, it's not involved now in social enterprises, but is interested, what's the first thing you'd recommend the CEO and the board do? How would they get started? What would the first step be?
It would be to talk to individuals like myself that have had experiences, but hiring a consultant who can work with the executive director that could present even to the board. There's a formula where you identify your core competencies. You look at what kind of revenue you want to generate over a 10-year period, a 5-year period, and you put together the business plan. I mean, there's a lot of work to do this right if you're going to launch something like the HEAVENDROPt endeavor where you expect big revenues. If you're a small not-for-profit and you want to start something very small, you can look at what services, what products you might have to sell. We have a division that the clients and the staff work together and they make peanut brittle. We're now packaging that peanut brittle and selling it. That's a social enterprise. And hopefully it'll go national. That we didn't need a consultant, obviously. We identified something that benefits the clients, that gives them a meaningful activity where they're learning a skill and can generate revenue back to them in jobs and being paid to make it or in receiving some of the profits. So does that make sense? I mean, there are two very different models, and obviously, I'm interested in the ones that can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million.
So bottom line, you better be prepared to do some serious business planning when you venture into the social enterprise area. Sue, I want to thank you very much for taking us on this fascinating tour of the social enterprise terrain and telling us what you're doing, actually an amazing amount at Evergreen Life Services in the social enterprise area. I'm sure you must do a lot of teaching to interested CEOs around the country and about how to get involved. And I assume also you're open to people giving you a call every now and then?
Absolutely, because it works. I believe in it so much. And also look into the Social Enterprise Alliance. It's a national organization where lots of not-for-profits come together and learn from each other. And,
so that's the national association in this field. It's called the Social Enterprise Alliance.
The Social Enterprise Alliance, Jim Shore is the CEO of the Social Enterprise Alliance, and there are Social Enterprise Alliance chapters scattered around the United States. There aren't that many, maybe in the 20s. And the one in Florida, Nancy Giles and I actually were the founders of it. It's the only chapter of Social Enterprise Alliance in Florida. But that's the Tampa Bay one. I know there's one in Denver, there's one in California, there's one in Illinois. But if anyone Googled Social Enterprise Alliance, they can read all about it. It is one of two national organizations out there. The National Center for Social Entrepreneurs is more of the consultant type entity. Okay. But the Alliance is the networking group. Well, thanks again, Sue, for taking the time to educate us
on the social enterprise movement, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Doug.